Namaste, Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Namo Namaha, Jai Ganesha. Please watch our previous video on the evils of colonization. So we should all be very proud to be Hindus. But that's only half of the equation. We also have to recognize what we have let go. In other words, we should actually be ashamed of what we have let go. So for a balanced perspective, we have to look at both. So let's start with why we should be ashamed of what we have let go. Hallelujah, Maranatha, Shalom, Salam Alaikum. My name is Reverend Imam Padmaswami Maharaj, Archbishop, and I am, of course, a 200-hour certified baptism teacher and a 500-hour RBT, Registered Baptism Therapist. And I have a chain of baptism studios, and we offer all of the contemporary forms of baptism. We have hot baptism, power baptism, doggy baptism, laughter baptism, even nude baptism for the more adventurous. We have a whole line of baptismal apparel. We have one-piece, two-piece, thongs to show off your baptism booty, of course. We have baptism mats and towels. We have our own magazines, Baptism Journal, International Baptism. And we'll also be offering communion certifications, 200 hours. And for 500 hours, you can become a sommelier. Now, some of my colleagues, and you may know them, nalinisbaptism.com, kumarscommunion.com, they've asked me, Guru Maharaj, Archbishop Rabbi Padmaswami, in this new age, what do we do about all of these people that are saying that baptism and communion are sacred Christian practices? Well, my advice to them is, one, simply confront them with peace, brother, sister. No labels here, no judgments, no divisions. We're all one. And if they persist, then you're going to have to gently and intelligently remind them that nobody owns baptism and communion. Water, wine existed long before Christianity. And if they still persist, you're going to have to be firm and say, look, you're probably a racist. You need to go back to the Middle East because you're in America now. Crazy? Insane, you say? Let's see. Do you know, if you were to ask many, many people today around the world, actually, have you ever heard of yoga? They just might say, what are you, crazy? Everybody's heard of yoga, my goodness. There are yoga studios in every town, several. It's in the community centers. It's in the schools, the hospitals, some of the churches. It's on TV, books, magazines, Madison Avenue. Where have you been? In a cave or something? Okay. Then if you next asked, did you know that yoga is all about the Hindu Dharma, Hinduism, the Hindu religion? They would say, what are you, crazy? Yoga has nothing to do with religion, and certainly not Hinduism. And we know, because we are, as opposed to you Hindu yogi swamis, whatever, we are the 200-hour certified, professional, authoritative yogis. And some of us are even 500-hour registered yoga therapists. And it is we who offer hot yoga, power yoga, doggy yoga, laughter yoga, nude yoga, goat yoga, beer yoga, Ted's yoga, Adrian's yoga, Kino's yoga. And you Hindus, Yogi Swami, you're not even allowed to teach in these public venues. So, my Hindu friends, what do you think about these facts? Would any Christian put up with that, claiming that baptism is merely an underwater therapy or some kind of vague universal spirituality, or that communion is simply a wine tasting or some kind of vague spiritual experience taught by anybody? And my friends, it's not merely the once sacred Sanskrit Tamil, yoga yogam, Hindu word that's been totally perverted, distorted beyond recognition. And if you were on the front lines, you would know that. These people are not appreciating the Hindu-ness of yoga, which it is. No yoga, no Hinduism, no Hinduism, no yoga. Real yoga, that is. So in essence, there's only two yogas, Sat, Asat, Ja. Sat yoga is Hindu Dharma, taught by Hindus, and not for a fee. This would stand true for any of the religions of the world. Asat yoga is not taught in a Hindu context, not taught by Hindus, and it's basically an exercise, business, or some kind of vague universal spirituality. So it's not merely this once sacred Sanskrit, Tamil, Hindu word yoga that's been absolutely distorted beyond recognition. The following was actually inspired by watching Jeopardy. You know that game. Actually, many years ago now. And you know how the game works. The answer comes up, and then your answer has to be in the form of a question. For example, if you were to say blank for 600, what is the Statue of Liberty? You'd say, what is New York City? And you knew that because the heading was cities. Happened to be watching one night, and the following came up. Blank for 600. Ancient holistic form of medicine. What is Ayurveda? Blank for 400. What are the 7 centers within the body? What are the chakras? Blank for 200. Down dog. What is yoga? And how did they know these answers? What was the heading? Was it Hinduism? No. New Age. So, fellow Hindus, we have to ask ourselves, and others concerned, of course, why are Ayurveda, chakras, Kundalini a New Age thing, but not Hindu? Why is karma just anything, but not Hindu? Why is a mantra any repetition, money, 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 but not a Hindu chant? Why is a pundit a politician, not a Purohit? Why are Arya and swastika, which Hitler never used, Hakenkreuz, why are they about a holy, an evil place? Why are they not about a holy place? Why is the original homeland now the troubled nation of Pakistan? Why do many make fun of the Bindu? You know they do, dot head, bullet hole, you are here. And why are many afraid of the word Hindu? If we don't even know who we are, game over. Remember, whether you use the H or not, it doesn't change the meaning. Hindu. It's right in the Rig Veda. Hindu, samudra, iddayarti, vayu bhir. Fellow Hindus with the support bhir of your breath, vayu, grab a hold, iddayarti, of the cosmic ocean, samudra, that's within you. And you know, the Hindus are not even given credit for the numerals, and especially zero, sunya. Where would the world be without the mystical, magical zero? It was only the Hindus that could come up with the zero, the binary system. Prior to that, we're stuck in the Roman numeral system. It only took us so far. But we understand Maunavakya Parabrahman. We understand Yatovacho Nivartante Aprapyas Manasa Saha. Ajoti, Kaivalya, Purushartha Sunyam, Vivasamadhi. And why, oh why, is yoga an exercise for money? And why is a guru just anybody? Diet guru, fitness guru, Wall Street guru? Try that one time with Imam and see how far you get. We're not advocating violence, but my goodness, speak up for who you are. Be proud to be a Hindu. You know, in the Hindu yogic science, so rare, Satchidananda is E equals MC square Shanti. Ganapati, Muruga, Shiva Shakti is gravity, electricity, magnetism, nuclear home. And don't worry, this works for the other sampradayas as well. This is what we call the GEM principle, gravity, electricity, magnetism. Ganapati, Muruga, Shiva Shakti, Saiva Dharma. Ganapati, Krishna, Vishnu, Lakshmi. Ganapati, Hanuman, Sitaram, Vaishnava, Hindu Dharma. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Kali, Durga, Parvati. We are a Hindu family, Saiva, Vaishnava, Shakti, the three. So let us live in harmony and follow the Dharma and plant your yoga tree. So Ganapati, Muruga, Shiva, Shakti, gravity, electricity, magnetism, nuclear home. Tamas, Raja, Sattva, guna attributes. Later, Newton's laws of motion, very astute. Parinamaha, Yoga Sutras, is evolution, you know. Darwin was not the first to know how we grow. Avatar is really evolution's spiraling star. Matsyata Buddha, and round we go. Arabic numerals, you say? The Hindus invented them, and the zero, hooray. For if it were not for the binary system you see, computers, cell phones, iPhones, tablets, there would not be. And look at the modern guru, mantra, and yoga pretensions. These are all actually Hindu inventions, And what do you do with a gift? Do you deny the giver? Do you take the gift and turn around and sell it? So be proud to be a Hindu. Vitarka mudra. Reason, reason, reason. Think it out. That's the first sign of samadhi, according to the Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali, who, remember, made no mention of any specific asana at all. He merely said, stira sukham asanam, find one steady, comfortable posture. And an honest read of the Yoga Sutras, which was really designed for Hindu male renunciate yogis in training, though the rest of us can learn a lot from it, yes. It was about what? Becoming something? No. It's about becoming nothing. Purushartha sunyam. Kaivalyam. Tarivartra matra nimbasa sunyam iva samadhi. Going beyond light into the no-thingness. So remember, folks, we're Hindus. And what do? We do yoga to reach Atmana. 3 words. This can bring us all together as a Hindu family. We're Hindus. We do yoga, all of it, to reach Atma. Atma darshana paramudharma. And remember, when we say yoga, this Sanskrit, Tamil, Hindu word, yoga and yogam, it actually per se has nothing to do with the physical body. Yuj Atman Brahmancha. Is this not the goal of Hindu Dharma? To yoke, yuj, to your Atmana, which is not the soul, it's different. The soul is still connected in English to the mind. The Atmana, thankfully, is not the mind, not the body, not the emotions. Atmana. To connect to the Atmana. And then Brahman. And Brahman's not God. Please stop misusing their term. If we want them to stop misusing our terms, we need to stop misusing their terms. We don't believe in the Christian understanding of a one male as opposed to female goddess, creator, being now. We don't believe that. Yes, we do have pockets of extremist monotheists within Hinduism, but that's not the broader Hinduism. We believe essentially in what? Tattvamasi, thou art that we are all the Atmana. And what is Brahman? Brahman is simply and profoundly a greater source of the Atmana, which we know what it is. It's provable. It's faith and belief in the beginning, but it's the provable experience of Shakti, pure energy, which can neither be created nor destroyed. Pure light, Jyoti, the inner light, and the light of inspiration. It's where all your creativity comes from. And the feeling of lightness, buoyancy, that youthful, loving warrior experience that we're seeking. That's symbolically represented by Murugaskanda, Hanumanji, Krishna, and Durga Ma too. So we do yoga. That's the lifestyle of Hinduism, all of it. And we need to use the prefix for clarification. And they really are in order, just like the growth of a tree, from the roots, karma yoga, which is what's holding us together, to the tree reaching up in devotion. Everything goes up, doesn't it? Steeples go up, gopurams go up, namaste goes up. We bow down in humility so that we can rise up. The Kundalini, Velvya Muruga, Shakti Vel. We do karma yoga, bhakti yoga, that's the tree trunk reaching up, devotion. We do Raja Yoga, Hindu meditations, contemplations, if you want to use English properly, contemplation. Remember, meditation simply means to concentrate. You can concentrate on anything. Don't fall into that trap of the false statement yoga and meditation. That's very misleading. You see, it's implying that yoga simply is the hatha yoga portion, and meditation is really what we as Hindus call Raja Yoga. So if you want to be accurate, you need to say, we're teaching Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga. Of course, those who are not Hindus and they want to teach stretching and relaxation and meditation, fine, do that. But don't be dishonest and say you're yoga teachers when you're not even Hindus. And you're not even recognizing that this is Hinduism. So the prefix is all important. And all of this, Karma Bhakti Raja, leads to Gyan Yoga, which is twofold. It's both outer study, studying our Shastras, but most importantly, actually, the inner study. When we open the book within us, as others have said, that's Gyan Yoga, the inner knowledge, because we all have it. That's the Antar Guru, the Guru that's inside of all of us. We need to respect the Gurus on the outside, but never neglect the one on the inside. You got to live with that one. Antar Guru. Shraddha, have full faith in that. Full faith in the Dharma, full faith in the Atmana within you. So these are the classic four yogas: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga, Gyan Yoga. The four classic yogas. And you know, devotion is so important in life, just in general. If you're not devoted, you won't be successful in anything that you do. So it's really primary within life in general, and then specifically, never confuse the two. We Hindus call this Bhakti Yoga, Laya Yoga, Sandhya. This is our puja. It's most important. This is actually the meaning of Rig Veda, worship, the passion to know worship, Rig. And who do we worship? Well, primarily, number one, Agni Mile, we praise the fire. Focus on that. Meditate on the fire. Light your diya within, your India. It's a good word, India. Bharat came later, but India, from the Indus River Valley. We don't want to deny an original homeland, do we? The Indus River Valley. We are Hindus, Hindus. Remember, it doesn't matter, again, if you use the H or not. So, for example, some people say Siva, some people say Shiva, some people say Sakti. Generally, this is north and south, or south and north, Sakti and Shakti, and Santi and Shanti. So, Hindu. Again, from the Rig Veda. Hindu, Samudra Idyarthi Vayu here. And you know, we also refer to ourselves in the Vedas as Bindus, the mark of a Hindu. The identifying, wear your marks, right? Especially when you're giving a talk. Wear your malas if you have them. Wear your Bindu, your Bindi. Right? Again, from the Rig Veda, Puram Bindu Vajri Purush Tutaha, ancient Puram Bindu Hindu. Soulful warrior. Puram Bindu Vajri Purush Tutaha. Be a soulful warrior. Be a youthful, loving warrior. You got to do all three. Like Muruganji, Hanuman, Krishna, Durga Ma. Youthful, loving warrior. So our classic four yogas, Karma, Bhakti, Raja, Jnana. But within those four, we have Hatha Yoga, Hindu devotional postures. Mantra Yoga, Hindu devotional chants. Japa Yoga, Hindu devotional chants on a beads. Mala, Om Namah Shivaya, for example. Om Namah Shivaya. Nada Yoga, Ganapati Om, Jai Ganapati Om. Are many, many songs and beautiful music. Hindustani music, Carnatic music. And then Nata Yoga, as we dance through life, Nataraja, the divine dancer, with burning ashes smeared thick. At his feet my garland, plated with love's incense, I lay. From the Tirumantram. So, this is the lifestyle of Hinduism. We know this. Come on. Karma, Bhakti, Raja, Jnana. This is the way to Nirvana. And in the south, Tamil Nadu, Charya, Karya, Yoga, Jnana. This is the same as we just told you. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, Patanjali. How many times do we have to tell the world all of yoga is Sanatana Dharma? This is Hinduism. Watch your Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Vedas may. In the Vedas, they had a beautiful system. They use Kanda for yoga. Kanda means root, has the same connotation as yoga, to yoke. Kanda, the root's what's holding us together, which is Karma Kanda. And then we know Jnana Kanda. But look, beautifully they put Upasana, because Upasana shows us what is actually the inseparability of three yogas. Upasana means worshipful meditation. There you have Bhakti and Raja, and you have the word asana, Hatha Yoga. If you think about it, you really can't do one without the other. When you're doing Hatha Yoga, these are devotional postures to Hindu deities, true Hatha Yoga. And you're meditating. Upasana, beautiful. Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, Jnana Kanda. So, of all the classic Hindu yogas, do you know there was only one, that our rishi said, keep this one secret. Why? Because of what's exactly happened today with these 200-hour certified professional yoga teachers. Come on, folks. It takes 1,500 hours to become a dog groomer. And you're really slighting the Hatha Yoga and how powerful that is. There's classic texts on Hatha Yoga, which get into the chakras and kundalini and the nadis, which is so enticing to people today, but taken out of context can actually become dangerous. Do your own homework on the past scandals from many of these Indian guys. I don't know what else to call them because they don't want to call themselves Hindus, even to this very day, with people like Jaggi Vasudeva. He doesn't call himself a Hindu or religious or anything, but yet all of this is coming from Hinduism, all these people. And there's been tremendous scandals in the past up to the present. Financial, sexual scandals, tremendous. Hurt the lives of many, many people, turned them completely off from what could have been a meaningful life as a Hindu. We have to open that avenue up for people. If they want to become Hindus, leave that avenue open, but that demands, like any religion, demands study and commitment, and in our case, the Namakarana Samskara, when you take on a Hindu name. Yes. Welcome people to do that. Remember, there's a vast difference between a student and a teacher. In life, we should be open to studying anything and be allowed to. Yes, why not? But the teacher is always, and relevantly in the religions of the world, you wouldn't even question this. If you went to a Christian church, for example, you wouldn't even think about if the person up there was a Christian. Of course not. You can go as anybody can go. But the teacher is always a member of that religion at the very least. Why have we let this go? Why have we let this wisdom go within Hinduism? That's why we're getting taken advantage of from the past to the present. We don't have enough education on the one hand, then we don't have enough chutzpah to stand up and protect it and speak openly and be willing to face the consequences. You can write your comments and I'll answer them. Right? We need to be able to face the consequences of what we say. Don't be afraid. Again, that's our worry. If you love Hanuman, if you love Krishna, if you love Murugan Skanda, well, then you'll stand up for the Dharma. And remember, in the Ramayana, Hanumanji is the great karma yogi and bhakti yogi, right? 1 and 2. They're showing the progression. And in the Bhagavad Gita, there's chapters on karma yoga and bhakti yoga and gyan yoga. Not really Raja yoga. I think they skipped that one. There's always been a little pull with this towards the side, especially with ISKCON, which is interesting. And remember, all those into ISKCON, Prabhupada said you're not even Hindus to begin with, so go figure. So, in the Hatha Yoga, we have several texts which describe the asanas. Basically, we have the Hatha Yoga Pradipika by Yogi Svatmanama. We have the Giranda Samhita by Sage Giranda. And here's an interesting one. We have the Siva Samhita. And yes, these were all, as all religions are, they're created by humans, however inspired. All these scriptures were written by humans. But in the Siva Samhita, it's Siva and Parvati speaking directly. Obviously, some human wrote it down, but that's the story. It's supposed to be inspired by Siva and Parvati. And then we have the very esoteric Siddha Siddhanta Bhadati of Yogi Gorakhanath. And all of these scriptures, which do get into the Hatha Yoga Asana, they all beseech Adinatha or Shiva, because he's the epitome of the Hatha Yogi. And the Kundalini and the chakras and Nagdevata, and the Kundalini, which is Gangama, coming out of his Sahasrara chakra. And beautiful explanation, the Shiva Lingam, the absolute, nothingness, which is the fullness of everything, and Nataraja, the divine dance of life. Right? So all of these who wrote the classic scriptures that we have on Hatha Yoga, they all beseeched Adinatha, and they all said the same thing, every one of them. Hatha Vidya, Bhaveda Yavate Guya, Niveda Tu Prakash Avaranam. This knowledge Vidya of Hatha is powerful, Bhaveda, when you keep it secret, Guya. And it loses power, Niveda, when you display it, Prakasha Varanam. And from the Siva Samhita, Gopyamasmabi Parivasitam, Subhaktaya, Tralokecha Mahatmane. Again, this Hatha must be kept secret. Gopya, Guya, Muruganji, the cave, Guya, Gopya, keep it secret. And it should only be given to the pure souls in all three worlds. Trilokecha Mahatmane Subhaktaya. But it's way out there because we have let it go, haven't we? And we have to face the consequences of that with this non-Hindu. Now people may say, well, doesn't it do people good? Well, what? Lying does people good? If people want to do stretching and breathing and relaxation exercises, why not be honest and just call it that? Fine, what's the problem? You can even charge money for that. That's simple exercise. But if you're going to use the word yoga, you have to recognize this is all about the Hindu Dharma. Why deny that? They don't want to call it stretching and relaxation because it's not chic, right? It won't draw the crowds in like yoga exotic, huh? But it's just basically and blatantly dishonest. Again, like calling baptism underwater therapy or communion a wine tasting. So, we've pointed out the problem, and this is important in life. You have to point out the problems, and then you have to give solutions. Again, watch our previous video on the evils of colonization, because we end up with a positive solution with the gas principle. You'll find that one very interesting. So let's look at this, my fellow Hindus. Be proud to be a Hindu. You know, we talked about the science. In Hindu yogic science, rare Satchidananda is E equals MC squared. So be proud to be a Hindu. Say to yourself and your fellow Hindus, I've got a dot on my head, and it's really, really red. It's a bindu, because I'm a Hindu. And I'm proud to be a Hindu. What about you? And I do yoga because it's Hindu. Karma Bhakti, Hatha is too. Rajjnana, it's all yoga, it's all Hindu. It's not a boga. And let's be a united Hindu family, whether you're Saiva, Vaishnava, Shakti, the three. Let us live in harmony and follow the Dharma and plant your yoga tree. Karma Bhakti Raja Jnani. This is Hindu Dharma. Om Shanti. Ganapati Murga Shiva Shakti, Ganapati Krishna Vishnu Lakshmi, Ganapati Hanuman Sita Ram, Durga Lakshmi Saraswati, Kali Durga Parvati. We are a Hindu family. Saiva Vaishnava Shakti, the three. Be proud to be a Hindu. Stand up for the Dharma. Just like Ganesha is. Go over his story. There's Balaganapati, when he stood up. And remember why he's always first, because he was created from the mud of his Mataji. So Bhumi Mata, we're on Bhumi Mata. We have to respect Bhumi Mata. Vasundaraya Vidmehe, Bhuta Datraya Dhimehi, Tano Bhumi. Prachurya Eta. Start with your feet firmly planted on the ground. Bhumi Mata. Ganapati stood up to protect the Dharma, which was his Mataji. Even in the face of Mahadev Shiva and the Bhutas. My goodness. So what's that lesson Ganapati is teaching us right there? Stand up for principles. No matter who's facing you, stand up for principles. But reality kicks in, and don't expect to win every time. No, you're going to lose. And sometimes we learn more from our losses, don't we, in life? You can't win all the time. We lose, we win, and we lose. But you got to stand up for principles, because in the end, everything will turn out right. And I know this sounds a little pie in the sky, but we do believe in some sort of reincarnation, because justice may not come in this life. But we're in this for the long haul. We're taking a greater view of time itself. So Ganapati stood up, and what happened? He lost his head. It's kind of a gruesome story to many people in the West. They kind of make fun of it. But it's symbolically teaching us that when you stand up, you don't always win. Sometimes you lose, and you lose big sometimes. And here he lost his head. But he got the head of an elephant back. And so everything turned out all right. And to this day, Ganapati is probably one of the most recognizable Hindu deities around the world. And people want to know about that. The symbolism is all important there, right? It's so symbolic, right? Because it's recognition of who you and I are. We are animals. We're human. And we are divine. Look at the form of Ganapati. This is the form of yours and mine, huh? Ganapati, over here. Animal, human, divine. This is the form of yours and mine. And he's synonymous again with the Om, the first, the primal sound, A-U-Um, from Mandukya Upanishad. Animal, human, divine. Vaishvanara, Tejasya, Prajna. And there's another important part of the story here. Who lopped off his head? It was his father, which is also his guru. When the guru lops your head off, for example, or criticizes you, and every good coach, every good teacher, every good mentor, every good guru will exercise discipline when their chelas or shishyas need it, right? And what did Ganapati do? He lost big time. I mean, my goodness. Sometimes we go over the top in these stories, but it's to prove a point. So what did he do? Did he renounce his father? Did he renounce his guru? No, they're forever together. Look, there's the family up there. They're forever together. So in Saivism, it teaches us that. If you're going to follow Grihastha, try your best to stay together. That's why there's really relatively been few divorces within Hindu culture, right? Of course, you know you're never expected to stay with anybody who abuses you, but divorce has been very rare because we know the wisdom of family. And Mahadev and Parvati and Muruga and Ganapati are teaching this wisdom of, if you're going to choose Grihastha, follow through with it. But Shiva is also seen as Mahadev, Yogiraj, off by himself. So the symbolism there is, if you're going to choose not to marry, well, then you got to be faithful to that. You got to be a renunciate then. You can't be fooling around with people of the same sex or the opposite sex, right? You shouldn't be doing that. And if you have the choice, it's up to you, right? If you want to get married, right? Both lives are fulfilling, but they each have their place, right? We swamis, the yogis, we can do things that family people can't do because we have the time to do that. We don't have the pressures of family life. We have other pressures, obviously. Everybody does, right? But everybody has their place. So, remember, fellow Hindus, that we're Hindus. We do yoga, all of it, to reach Atma Darshana. That's why we say Atma Darshana Paramo Dharma. And be willing, as the rishis of old were, just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago from Brihat Aranyaku Upanishad. We should pray, lead me from untruth to truth, unreal to real. We could say in today's parlance, phony to real. We need to call it out. If there's phony yoga, it's phony yoga. If it's non-Hindu yoga, it's phony yoga. Asatoma sadgamaya, lead me from untruth to truth. It's an ongoing process. Never be afraid to admit, well, we're wrong, I made a mistake. We all do, come on. We all make mistakes. We all are deluded in various ways, and we need to wake up. Awake, arise, look and see, thou art that tatvamasi. Asatoma sadgamaya. And then humbly admit our ignorance in many areas of life. Know what we're good at, know what we're not good at. Obviously, we can't know everything. Know what we're good at, know what we're not good at. As we admit our ignorance in many areas of life, as we're moving to an ever more enlightened state of being. And that's not a creepy word, enlightenment. We're meant to be in light. In other words, we're meant to uncover that which is already there, the inner light, which is simply covered up, Right? That's why, as Saiva Hindus, we wear the Tripundra. These are the clouds of ignorance, if you will, as we try to remove greed, anger, lust, lobha, krodha, kama, by giving, compassion, control, dana, dayadvam, damyata. Because these are the coverings over the Atmana. Like if you have a light and you cover it, even though the light's still there, you can't see it, just take away the coverings. So when we do, on a daily basis, because we all get a little greedy, angry, lusty, which means excessive desire for anything, power, money, sex, food. When we do remove, however temporarily, the greed, anger, lust, what happens? The inner light shines of Jyoti, Shakti, Ananda, Shanti, the reality of who we are. Right? Remember, you have your spirit beings, your devatas, your Ishta devatas, and they're your personal experience, right? We as Hindus don't try to, hopefully, bring those out for the whole world, right? Making an invisible deity requisite for the whole world. That's where the fault of monotheism. Or people in any religion, they get extremists about invisible deities. Maybe visible to you, and that's totally valid, of course. We can all have our inner experiences. But our deities are also very symbolic. They can teach us powerful, powerful life lessons, whatever, however you as a Hindu want to look at that. But don't try to push your deity on everybody else. And certainly within Hinduism, too, that's why we say namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam. Right? Then within your specific group, then you can say Om Namah Shivaya or Hari Om or Sitaram or Jai Mataji, right? Within your, but don't expect everybody to worship Ram or Krishna or Shiva, right? But as Hindus, we do all have a foundation with Ganesha. We know that, right? Because that's a good symbolic understanding of having a solid foundation in life from which to rise. If we don't have a foundation, and if we don't remember who we are, first chakra is also memory, Tattvamasi. If we don't remember who we are, game over in a sense, or not even begun. Right? So we go from untruth to truth, Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, and then never forget you are that amritam. We have the amritam on the outside, the nectar and the soma, but you are that bliss on the inside, the inner nectar. Mrityorma amritam gamaya, which defeats the illusion of permanent death. Yeah, this body is going to die. It's dying already, right? The mind, emotions. But the Atmana goes on and assumes whatever is the next process, the next form. Because we know what it is, that Atmana. It's pure Shakti, Shakti, Shakti. It's pure light and the feeling of light, Jyoti, Jyoti, Jyoti. And then here's the science of it. The heat of the science of life, work, heat, light, thermodynamics, the Big Bang itself. The heat becomes the human emotion of love or bliss because it's a warm experience as opposed to being cold-hearted. That's why the Ananda, the heat, the warmth, the bliss. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. And as Hindus, even though we may not always hold to it, right? At least we have the ideals. We just strive for those. We always end with Shanti, 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 peace, peace, peace. But this is not a piece of cowardice. This is not a piece of running away from problems. This is not a piece of just saying koi baat nahi or overlooking it. Right? Say to yourself, come chalu, I can do this. We can change this, yes. Do it in a non-violent way, of course. But change is very, very important. Sorry for that message popping up there. So our peace must be a peace through strength and justice. Om Shanti Shanti. Shanti Jyoti Shakti Ananda Shanti. Love, light, and energy. Om, this are we with emotions, mind, and body. We send this out to others. Om Sarvesham Svastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. We wish others an auspicious life. Why not? At this moment, though people may have wronged you, let's give out this sense of peace to all and sense of fullness and tranquility. And then do what you can to help others through good thoughts, of course, but more importantly, through hands-on. Help others that are sick and suffering, and always physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, socially. Do what you can. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashya dhuk dukkha bhagvave. See what you can do to relieve the suffering, dukkha, of others. And again, asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be proud to be a Hindu. Namaste, Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Namo Namaha. Love and blessings. Om.